Yeah, I might actually, the internet's been in and out. The lights have flickered a couple times. I might actually lose the show. So if it goes away, you guys know what happened. We just have wind right now, but it's supposed to start storming later. Murfreesboro? Damn. I know we got a red flag warning for potential wildfires because of the wind and how dry it is. And we got a wind warning. But luckily, the place I live, their slogan is the Valley Beautiful. So we're like at this bottom of this really deep valley with mountains on both sides. It's kind of hard for a tornado to get started here. We just don't have enough flat land. We've been really lucky with tornadoes. Stay safe, brother.
What you think about when you're born into a fire? Let them burn it out. Sell them to the richest buyer. They wanna let
Flood watches. Yeah. The good thing about our flood is it was like a 1 cent a fucking 500 years. Like they've never recorded a flood like that. My dad used to talk about a flood back in the 70s or 80s at the same area where we live, same river. And even in his wildest, probably exaggerated stories about it, this was still like 3 times as much water from that flood. So hopefully we never get one like that around here again. Or at least not in my lifetime or my kids' lifetime.
We've been thinking for ourselves, never let the truth fade away. This is bigger than ourselves, we won't let the world burn away. Burn away, we feel betrayed.
I was looking again today. I rode my one wheel down, like where the park is at the end of the road. Dude, it has changed the river so fucking much. Like, I used to know that river like the back of my hand. When I was in school, I used to lie to my mom because she didn't want me in the river, and we would skip school and go kayaking down the river or floating tubes or something. And it's a different river now. They're not even they're not even issuing guide licenses to let people raft it. Like, you can raft it on your own, but no businesses can take people down it because they have to go back and recertify the whole river. It's just a different river now. Make sure it's navigable and classify and all that shit. It's crazy how much has changed. We did submit a list of materials to the charity, and they're supposed to be submitting it up to their higher ups, see if they get approved. The preliminary approval was for up to $15,000 in just materials, no labor, no tools, just materials. So we put a list together, $15,000 worth of stuff we need, and send it to the higher ups, and they got to send it up the ladder to see that kind of deal. So I thought it was already a done deal, but apparently we're still in negotiation phase. All right, stop the music. It is the charity is Samaritan's Purse, which is from like Billy Graham, I guess, and his son or whatever. Okay, I was waiting for somebody to comment on YouTube, make sure YouTube's working. Apparently YouTube's dead. Steven Crowder announced that YouTube is now dead, so we'll have to be on the lookout for that. See if they shut her down.
Hey Daddies, it's me, the Linda Binda from TikTok. I wanted to make this video because I wanted to thank you for watching Cold Beer Confessionals with Will Bird. I think that's just incredible. I've watched a few episodes and I'm just like very intrigued. But you know what I'm most intrigued in is Big Daddy's meat stick. I heard that it's very thick, like a good old German sausage. You know, Linda and her coochie loves that. Oh, never mind. Let's not go there. Anyways, I hope you have a good show and enjoy it as you can. There's a lot of weird things that go on, especially when it comes from the realm of Linda Bindeland. So, enjoy the show. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Welcome everybody. Real quick, I would like to make an announcement in front of the stream.
Just resubscribed for 34 months. Hello loves, waving hand emoji, red heart emoji, kissing face emoji.
It's enough emojis. Big announcement in front of the whole class today. Atsuko did graduate her finals for sumo wrestling. She has now moved up in class to the Makuuchi. Makuuchi, Makuuchi, which is the top division. She is one of 42 sumo wrestlers in the Makuuchi division. So there you go. She's been going to night class for the last couple years. So that's a big accomplishment. She's back in the chat. I wouldn't mess with her. She'll push you out over the circle or whatever. Thank you guys for joining us. I'm Will Bird. This is Cold Beer Confessional. Fucking weather's warming up, dude. Like, we had a warm day today, which is obviously what's causing, like, these storms, like that warm front, thunderstorms. And so many people. Like, our road, I did a TikTok on it today, if you didn't see it. Our road is barely hanging on by a thread, okay? Barely hanging on by a thread. Like, there's, like, 2 foot of asphalt that is undercut, that is just waiting for somebody to, like, drive across it so it falls in. And people live back there. That's like our way in and out. Like, we got to go to the store. We got to go to kids to school. We got to leave. I got to go to the office. We got to get supplies. We need food and groceries. And people are still driving out our road to take pictures just to see some of them not even taking pictures, just to see what's going on. Like, I was on my one wheel today and some guy's like, is it open? No. Well, can I go back there? No, there's no road. Yeah, but I can drive back there, right? No, you can't. There's a gate. It says residents only. The road, you can't navigate across the road safely. What if I just go in there and turn around? No, you can't. Well, we were just out looking at stuff. The fuck is wrong with these people, dude? Jesus Christ. A newspaper reporter reached out to the owner of the property and asked if she could come take some pictures and do a story, and asked if she could drive back there. And the owner was like, no, like, we can come out on the side by side to get you, but we're trying to limit as much traffic as we can on the road. Like, it's like, you need to go out, you have to go out, whatever, but we're trying to limit traffic. And she said, hopefully, maybe she can get somebody to ride in there like, hey, we're trying to save the road, stay the fuck away. I'll show you. Hold on, I'll show you the TikTok.
Codename Anarch_007 just resubscribed for 7 months. Good evening, fine bird brains.
Welcome. Stop playing for a second. Thank you for the resubscription. So look how bad this road is undercut. Which one is it? Here it is. Every day, and I want you to see. Can you tell how bad this is undercut? It's hard to make. It's hard to tell. It is hard to tell in video, which I say multiple times. Like, it looks like maybe that dirt comes all the way to the end, but if you look at the edge of the road and at the bank when they move, it's not. Like, the dirt is probably way back here, and all of this hanging off is just hanging there. It's just hanging asphalt. Video do it justice. But the asphalt comes out to right there. See how the foreground moves, but the background doesn't? All right, see this piece of asphalt right here? This chunk, and you can even see that crack running under there. But none of that's supported. Like, this is just a void of nothing. Oh, thank you for the gifted subs. Appreciate it. Buy anything.
there's probably at least, I know they got that red line drawn, there's probably at least another foot.
Somebody just did that with the red line. Like the people who own the campground beside us, they just spray painted a red line. It's not like the state or a road inspector or something. Just somebody did it on their own.
On the other side of the red line, that it's hard to get it on video, but it's not supported by anything. The best way to see it,
Like seeing it in person blows your mind. And your phone wants to focus everything, so it's hard to tell. But literally all of this blacktop, all this asphalt, there's nothing underneath it. Like that bank is probably 4 foot from this edge right here back of actual dirt. It's just floating.
is like you look at the asphalt right there, and then I'll move the camera. All that behind there is nothing. There's nothing holding that up. Oh, we don't have a choice, I guess. It's our home. We can hike in, we can one wheel in, we can walk in, but we lose the road, we're done. And we got motherfuckers out here driving across it every day because the weather's changing to take pictures. Stay your ass at home so we have a fucking road. How about that? All right, so this is the...
It's literally got, like, it was bad right after the storm. Everybody wanted to take pictures. It's 90 feet from that road down to where the river is. It's just a bank, right? It was bad right after the storm, and then it slowed down in the winter because a lot of people were just in because it was cold. And now that it's starting to warm up again, that's what people do for fun, I guess. Go out, and I just wanted to see how bad it was. Go look on social media. Like, what do you mean? Let's see how bad it was. It was a big ass lifted Jeep that the guy was in, and then right behind him was a like a 4Runner. I don't think it was lifted, but it had like big off-road tires on it, big wide tires. And I turned them both around to the gate. I'm like, look, you guys can't go past the gate. You see the sign? Like, it's private. I kind of lied. I told him it's private property past the gate. It's not actually private property to get the gravel, but I was like, it's private property once you pass this gate, and you'll just be trespassed. Like, I'll just call the cops. You'll be trespassed, was what I was implying. I didn't say that. But I told him it's private property. They don't want anybody back there. I don't know. Shit's wild, dude. Shit is wild. You guys remember the Heritage Foundation? Apparently, the Heritage Foundation, the same people who wrote Project 2025, have now came out with their investigatory wing. I forget what they called it. Oversight projects. So they have Project 2025. They have something called the Oversight Project, and they have dropped this bombshell of a story. A bombshell of a story that Joe Biden was basically had oatmeal for brains, and his staff was using his auto pen to sign everything. That sounds like wild, right? Like his staff, like he didn't even know what was going on, and they were just using. Trump keeps repeating this. He auto pen, auto pen, auto pen. We don't use auto pen. He used auto pen for everything. What if I told you that all of the data they gathered was moots? Was fucking moots. Not only do multiple presidents use auto pens, I think Obama was the first one to use it on legislation. They use auto pens all the time. Even back in history, obviously presidents used auto pens. Trump's used an auto pen. But that doesn't even matter, because the way they researched this was by pulling documents. I'll show you their tweets. Pulling documents from the Federal Register. The other day I said Federal Register when I actually meant something else, the Supreme Court thing. Federal Register is where all the documents go. So they pull the documents from the Federal Register, and they're like, oh my God, this matches, but this one doesn't. So how many are like the auto pen, the auto pen, the auto pen? As if, let me set this scenario for you. Do you think that every document the president signs, someone scans it with his wet ink signature and sends it to the Federal Register? Thousands and thousands and thousands of documents. Or would you think that it's probably more appropriate that when an incoming president becomes president, they record his signature, and then once they've been notified that this document was signed, they post the document with his recorded signature? Because that's what actually happens. In mid-March 2025, a rumor spread online that U.S. President Joe Biden used an auto pen, an automatic signing machine, to sign official presidential documents, which still wouldn't be unheard of, right? The claim spread through Facebook, X, and Reddit, as well as reports from media outlets such as Fox News, Newsweek, The Independent. A Fox News Facebook post about Biden's purported auto pen signatures has nearly 200,000 reactions and more than 55,000 comments as of this writing. These reports originated in a March 6th post by the Oversight Project, an investigatory arm of the conservative think tank, the Heritage Foundation, the same group that authored Project 2025. Quote, "Whoever controlled the auto pen controlled the presidency," the post read. And that's the post you're looking at now. The Heritage Foundation and its Oversight Project have a reported history of spreading misleading political information. The group did not respond to a request for comment for more information about its methodologies. These reports are not credible. They're not credible evidence demonstrating Biden's purported frequent use of the auto pen, given that the digitized version of its official documents from the U.S. government all use every document that is uploaded, they all use the same image of the president's signature, regardless of who is in office. So same thing with Trump. They don't send every wet ink piece of paper to the Federal Register and someone scans it and is like, oh, that's document number 10,682 scanned. They just send the document and then they use a digital image of Donald Trump's signature down at the bottom. However, according to CNN, Biden used an auto pen to sign at least one piece of legislation, although he would not be the first. Presidents have signed documents using signature copying devices since Thomas Jefferson in 1804. Former President Barack Obama was reportedly the first to sign actual legislation with an auto pen in 2011. It is unclear how often Biden signed other documents, including executive orders and pardons via auto pen. We were unable to reach Biden's team as of this writing. The Oversight Project, in its X post, claimed it gathered every document we could find with Biden's signature over the course of his presidency. All of them used the same auto pen signature, except for the announcement that the former president was dropping out of the race last year. So they're trying to put you in this mind that someone else signed it for him when he dropped out of the race. Okay. Fox News claimed it examined more than 20 Biden-era executive documents on the Federal Register's office between 2021 and 2024 and found each had the exact same signature. The Federal Register is U.S. government's daily publication for executive orders and other official documents. While it is true that many of Biden's executive orders carry a signature matching the one posted by the Oversight Project, the National Archives, who runs the Federal Register, said in an emailed statement that official documents published in the Federal Register use a copy of the president's signature that comes from the same graphic file. They make it the day he takes off. The day he takes office, one of the things they do is they have him sign this little thing that records his signature. So when they need to publish a document that has his signature, they make sure, hey, you did sign this, right? They say yes, so they can publish the document. At the beginning of each administration, the White House sends a sample of the president's signature to the office of the Federal Register, which uses it to create the graphic image for all presidential documents published in the Federal Register. They could have just asked. They could have just asked anybody at the National Archives, hey, we've seen you upload all of the documents the president signs. Are all of those wet ink signatures that you have like faxed over or that are scanned and uploaded? Or do you get a copy of the document and then you just insert his signature that you recorded at... Get the fuck out of here. As the Federal Register's digitized documents do not represent what the signature looks like on the original documents. The oversight project's claim lack any credibility. Neither the project nor Fox News provided evidence that these are AutoPen signatures, other than the fact that the purported AutoPen signature looked different from the signature Biden used in a letter announcing he would drop out of the presidential race in 2024. Furthermore, there are photos of Biden signing by hand and in person executive orders. So what they did was they took this image, right? This is Biden signing an executive order. They flipped it. You can see his signature. So they flipped his signature out of it. And then they took it and compared to this exact document in the Federal Register. And they said, oh, yeah, clearly they're using a file. Clearly they're using an image file. The image of Biden signing the order by hand seems to show a signature similar to the purported AutoPen one, but does not appear to have the same loop in the R pictured on the Federal Register's copy, demonstrating that, as the National Archives said, the original signature on the documents is not reflected in a digital version. When I look up any of Trump's executive orders and I scroll down to where he signs it at the bottom, I expect that to be his signature, but not his actual signature on that one single document. I assume it's his signature that's just been laid over it, right? According to a May 2024 CNN story citing an anonymous White House official, Biden did use an AutoPen to sign a bill extended funding for for the FAA while in San Francisco. The same story said the use of AutoPen has been a rarity in the Biden administration. The White House has gone to great lengths at times to fly physical bills to Biden when he's traveling abroad. So he very rarely uses AutoPen, including a $40 billion Ukraine aid package that the president signed while in South Korea. They literally took this document and got it to him in South Korea so he could sign it. And a 2022 bill to avert a government shutdown while president was on vacation in St. Croix. Flew it to him. Other reputable news outlets, including the Associated Press, covered the White House efforts to fly the bill to South Korea. So you can look up these stories, right? So if we go to the AP, flying the Ukraine aid bill to South Korea for Biden's signature isn't unheard of. It also may not be totally necessary. So they flew this bill to him, and then Republicans were mad that we were wasting taxpayer dollars to fly the bill to him. But now they're mad that he used the AutoPen once. So the time he used the AutoPen was when he had COVID, and he was still quarantined. Thomas Jefferson was the first U.S. president to use a version of the AutoPen, then known as the polygraph. Just a year after its invention in 1803, according to the National Museum of American History, he called it the finest invention of the present age. According to the National Park Service official Facebook page for the White House and President's Park, the first commercially successful AutoPen was not developed until 1942 when it quickly gained popularity in the government. Harry Truman was said to have been one of the first to put the AutoPen to use, but Lyndon B. Johnson was the first to be photographed using it. In 1968, the National Enquirer published an article featuring those photos titled "The Robot That Sits for the President." The page noted that it would be incredibly challenging for a president to sign by hand thousands of pieces of paper requiring his signature, from bills and executive directives to letters and photographs. He sends out fan mail, too. I don't know if you guys know this, but the president signs all kinds of, thank you for your inquiry, blah, 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 and it's usually AutoPen. In 2005, former President George W. Bush asked his Justice Department to determine whether signing legislation passed by Congress with an AutoPen is constitutional, given the U.S. Constitution dictates in Article 1, Section 7, the president shall sign bills into law. The government's lawyers determined the president need not personally perform the physical act of affixing his signature to a bill he approves and decides to sign in order for the bill to become a law. So his own Justice Department said no, and may direct a subordinate to affix the president's signature to the bill. However, Bush never used an AutoPen to sign legislation. Presidents reportedly did not sign legislation with AutoPens until Obama used one while in France to sign a 4-year extension of the Patriot Act, a post-9/11 bill meant to combat terrorism, according to numerous news articles. Obama's use became the subject of a controversy. 21 Republicans, so they were mad then. 21 Republicans signed a letter calling on Obama to personally re-sign the Patriot Act and commit to signing legislation by hand. It is unclear whether Trump has signed legislation or policy with an AutoPen, although some reports suggest he signed campaign items for sale via the device. Of course he did. He's a grifter. Thus, the claim Biden used an AutoPen to sign official documents may be somewhat truthful, but it lacks any context whatsoever. There is credible evidence that Biden's executive orders purportedly signed via AutoPen were signed in person and by hand. Furthermore, presidents have used a version of the AutoPen since the 1800s due to the vast number of documents requiring the commander-in-chief's signature. Were people just in love with the idea that the president spends all day signing papers? The fuck, dude? This is supposed to be the big scandalous story that come out that the administration was letting anybody sign anything with Biden's name on it. And they didn't even have enough knowledge about the subject to call the National Archive and say, hey, did these actually represent the actual bill? Like, you scanned it, right, to upload it? Oh, no? You just use a file of his signature? The fuck out of here, idiots. All use the same AutoPen signature except for the announcement. And the reason they're calling in this announcement to drop out of the race is basically they're going to say, oh, well, he didn't sign it. You know, Kamala Harris signed it. But then once the news got a hold of it, what was he supposed to do? Say, I didn't sign that. Fucking idiots. Libs of TikTok, of course, jumped all over it. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. Anyways, that's your big scandalous update for the day. Here you go. Here's a good one.
I have a bunch of updates for you on Ukraine. This is going to be, get ready, a thick segment, a lot to go through. And before getting...
Trump is now admitting that when he said numerous times he could stop the war with Russia in one day, he could stop it before he went into office, one day, 24 hours, I'll have it stopped before I'm even sworn in. He was actually just being sarcastic. He was being sarcastic.
To a disaster that's building with Putin and Trump's reaction to it, Zelensky's reaction to it. Let me show you something that Trump said, because I'm starting to pick up on, I'm curious if you all are noticing this as well. When Trump now talks about the negotiations with Putin, you can kind of see in his face and hear in his voice that he's starting to doubt the big proclamations he's made. Delusional ones, but what he's been saying now for years. And it's gone so far to the point where he's saying this.
Understating the complexity of all this. But as a candidate, you said you would have this war settled in 24 hours.
Well, I was being a little bit sarcastic when I said that.
I don't know that he knows how sarcasm works. But Trump said he'd get it solved on day one. I'll do it. That's sarcasm. Right? You saying the war would have never started, and as soon as I get elected, I'll stop it before I'm even inaugurated. That's not sarcasm. That's just a lie. I don't think he's in a really tough spot now. He's the deal maker. He makes the deals, right? I told you I don't believe that Russia can very effectively come out of this war footing that they're in and their economy not collapse and their population not go to the streets with weapons. They're already, just for the ceasefire, not a peace deal, just a temporary ceasefire, they're demanding all the regions they've taken from Ukraine, Crimea, never allowing Ukraine into NATO ever, no NATO troops to ever be on their border, plus demanding some regions they haven't even taken in Ukraine. This is just for the ceasefire. This isn't a peace deal. This is a temporary ceasefire so we can talk about a peace deal. So what the fuck, when they go to the peace deal, what else are they going to demand? So if he can't get this peace deal, what is he, right? He was supposed to be this big negotiator. He can negotiate out anybody, any deal. I'd tell one of them, you're going to get a lot of money, and I'd tell the other one, you're going to get no money.
I mean, is I'd like to get it settled. And,
Oh, really?
This is just like when they said, you said you'd lower grocery prices. Well, it's very hard. It's very hard and a lot to do. And the past administration, you president, bro. We're going to stop blaming the past administration.
Oh, really? So, producer Cold, before we get into the important updates, did put together this to remind us of the absurdity of him now backing off.
I hope he has a montage.
You can pick up on that he's a little less confident, that he's the genius negotiator he told us. What do you say on the campaign trail?
You would have this war settled in 24 hours.
Well, I was being a little bit sarcastic when I said that.
I will end that war in one day. It'll take 24 hours.
Well, I was being a little bit sarcastic when I said that.
Before I even arrive at the Oval Office, I will have the disastrous war between Russia and Ukraine settled.
Well, I was being a little bit sarcastic when I said that.
I'll end that war between those two countries in 24 hours. It won't even take that long.
Well, I was being a little bit sarcastic when I said
It won't even take that long.
that.
I'll have that done in 24 hours. I'll have it done.
Well, I was being a little bit sarcastic when I said that.
It can be negotiated, I think, within 24 hours. Guarantee that this war will end immediately.
Well, I was being a little bit sarcastic when I said that.
I will have it solved in 24 hours with Zelensky and with Putin. And there's a very easy negotiation to take place, but I don't want to tell you what it is because then I can't use that negotiation. It'll never work.
Well, I was being...
This is like, I know what it is, but I want you to tell me what it is. Can you give me the definition of this word? I know what you mean. I just want you to tell me that you think you know what it means.
Being a little bit sarcastic when I said that.
So, you know those messages that I've read out to you where people write in the show and they'll say, Trump, he's awesome, he's going to... And one of the things they would say is, it's so wrong of you to say that Trump's lying about his ability to solve this because he is going to solve it. It's going to be great. It's going to be...
Is there a sumo emoji? We might need to send sumo emojis every time we see Atsuko to congratulate her on this great Japanese honor.
You're going to look so stupid. You're like, I'm stupid because he's going to solve it and you're going to have to admit that you were wrong. Jaden, that's a quote, right? I think that was a quote from one of our commenters. And now he's MAGA? Anybody? No, I meant, see, I speak in parables, sort of. So I say stuff, and usually I mean the opposite, because that's what a parable is. Oh my goodness. Now this self-doubt that I'm picking up on with him, it wasn't just in that moment where now he's saying that was sarcasm. I was being silly, because who doesn't joke about the matters of global consequence like a war? Oh, also, you would use your statement about you were going to end it to say that Biden was deranged and demented, and that's why he couldn't do anything, because if you were about it, you would have solved it, but Biden can't do it, but he would do it 24 hours. And so, what was I saying? That totally distracted me. But, similarly, he said that you maybe should try we're going to look into putting disinfectant inside the body and a UV light all over the body. And then he said that was sarcastic. Hey, maybe we stop with the sarcasm then. That's obviously a lie. He wasn't thinking it was sarcastic, but man, it's really upsetting. But here during his meeting with the Secretary General, he also is starting to talk about, and maybe Russia won't agree to the ceasefire, like I said, and that would be sad.
Well, we'd like to see a ceasefire from Russia. And we have, not been working in the dark. We've been discussing with Ukraine land and pieces of land that would be kept and lost and all of the other elements of a final agreement. There's a power plant involved, a very big power plant involved. Who's going to get the power plant and who's going to get this and that? And so, it's not an easy process. But
really? Because you said it. I think you literally used the word easy to describe it whenever Biden was president.
Phase one is the ceasefire. A lot of the individual subjects have been discussed, though. We've been discussing concepts of land because you don't want to waste time with the ceasefire if it's not going to mean anything. So we're saying, look, this is what you can get. This is what you can't get. They discussed NATO and being in NATO, and everybody knows what the answer to that is. They've known that answer for 40 years, in all fairness. So a lot of the details of a final agreement have actually been discussed. Now we're going to see whether or not Russia's there, and if they're not, it'll be a very disappointing moment for the world.
So for the first time, he went from it'll be 24 hours to it'll be before I become president, while I'm president-elect, to, all right, it'll be soon, to, if it doesn't happen, that'll be disappointing. So he's been telling us that it's Ukraine preventing peace, but now Russia's the one who's not yet agreed to the ceasefire. But I want to tell you about, if they do agree to it, what could be happening, sort of Trump getting played here. But first, one other moment where you hear Trump's tone shift.
This thing would have gone on for a long time. Yeah, we broke a deadlock. We did break a deadlock. I hope it's meaningful.
I hope it's meaningful. But
I hope that sounds like some confidence going into it, huh? I hope it's meaningful.
Trump, I thought you were going to call him and say, I settle. If you say it's going to say, yes, you can say, I'm going to give you this lot, you're going to give this lot, it's going to be good. I believe you.
You got to settle. I would tell Zelensky, you got to settle. I would tell one, you're going to load up with money. I tell the other, you're not going to get any money.
All right, so
I tell one you're going to load up with money and the other one you're not going to get any money.
You get that. Here is Sky News breaking down Putin's reaction, and this is the disaster I was referencing, that could be a game we've seen before. And if Trump falls for it, we're talking about generational damage. So here's this analyst and I'll respond.
Still has to eliminate these so-called root causes. In many ways means we're back to square one. Nothing has really changed because these are lines he's been saying for months, ever since setting out Russia's kind of position on a peace deal last June. So he's talking about peace, saying he wants a ceasefire, but still showing no signs of making concessions or compromises whatsoever. And there were reports this morning from the Reuters news agency citing sources familiar with the Russian position here in Moscow that they have given the American officials 3 demands that they need in order to agree to this 30-day plan for a truce. And those are to have a cast-iron guarantee that Ukraine will never join NATO, for there never to be any European peacekeeping troops from NATO forces in Ukraine in the future as part of a security guarantee.
Listen to all the demands they got just for the ceasefire.
For Ukraine, and also that there's international recognition that Crimea and those 4 territories in eastern Ukraine that Russia holds the majority of are recognized as Russian territory. So his maximalist position, even if he didn't articulate everything in that press conference, I think has remained the same.
Exactly. Which is before even signing a broader agreement, just to agree to the ceasefire, we want these ridiculous concessions. What do they really mean? We want Ukraine to give us the territory we've taken. Okay. But we all assumed that maybe territorial concessions were going to have to be a part of a long-standing agreement if that could come along with security guarantees. But also, they can't have any security guarantees. It can't come from NATO. It can't come from European forces. It can't come from the United States. They can't have any security. So what are they asking for? We want you to give us what we've taken by force through a murderous invasion. And then we want you to completely weaken yourself for any future aggression. And what will we do in return? We'll give Trump our word. Come on. Like we did the last time. And then we invaded. I mean, not with Trump, but, like they gave the United States the word. Zelensky responded, right now, we have all heard from Russia, Putin's highly predictable and manipulative words in response to the idea of a ceasefire on the front lines. At this moment, he is in fact preparing to reject it. Of course, Putin is afraid to tell President Trump directly that he wants to continue this war and keep killing Ukrainians. That's why in Moscow, they're surrounding the ceasefire idea with such precautions that it either fails or gets dragged out for as long as possible. Yeah, Putin does this often. He doesn't say no outright, but he drags things out and makes reasonable solutions impossible. We see this as yet another round of Russian manipulation. And that's what Putin's doing. He's saying, yeah, of course, Donald, you made a great ceasefire and you're so strong and we would love it. But just one little thing. Ukraine has to completely prepare themselves to be fully invaded at our choosing. Good? So that you, Trump, and then maybe Putin even agrees in his own head or behind the closed doors with Trump, this is speculative. Hey, I won't do any more aggression for the rest of your presidency, as long as you'll make sure they don't have any security guarantees. So you get the win, and then I get the win. This is what we've been warning about for so long. Excuse me. There was a U.S. proposal for an unconditional ceasefire. Do you know what unconditional means, Putin? And he's asking for all of the conditions. For the temporary ceasefire, we're supposed to be crafting the agreement by saying, give us all the concessions first, and then we'll craft an agreement. In the air, at the sea, and on the front lines. We in Ukraine accepted this proposal. We have heard from the American side that there is readiness to organize monitoring and verification. This is absolutely feasible with American and European capabilities. And during the ceasefire to prepare answers to all questions about long-term security and a real lasting peace and put a plan to end the war on the table. Ukraine's ready to work as quickly and constructively as possible. Now, he essentially goes on to explain, it's Russia complicating this, obviously, so clearly. Ukraine unconditionally said, yes, we agree to the ceasefire. Boom. To give a second to then craft the deal. And it's Putin who's going, we would also love to, but first you have to give us everything so that we can invade further whenever we'd like. Again, that's the summarization of the demands that you heard recited there. Now, before going further, here is Trump saying Ukraine shouldn't have picked a fight with Russia.
Russia has a large group of Ukrainian soldiers, as we speak, surrounded and in grave danger. They've been able to...
This has been debunked.
...to surround them. They're in grave danger. Biden should have never let this war happen. First of all, danger. They've been...
Russia.
Russia has a large group of Ukrainian soldiers, as we speak, surrounded and in grave danger.
This isn't true.
They've been able to...
This has been debunked.
...to surround them. They're in grave danger. Biden should have never let this war happen. First of all,
You are the president now!
I want to pick on somebody that's a lot larger than you, even with the money. There's a lot of money that we gave them and a lot of equipment. We make...
Quote, unquote.
Russia invaded Ukraine. What would Biden do? Like, you can't make Putin leave. So how would have Biden made Putin not do it, right?
You don't want to pick on somebody that's larger than you. Is there a single Trump supporter out there that can explain that to me? Kate from Kharkiv says, Ukraine just exists. Ukrainians are just sleeping in their beds at 4 a.m. Russia invades, bombs, kills, destroys, rapes, lots, kidnaps. And Trump's response is, you don't want to pick on somebody that's a lot larger than you. Is it definitionally picking on someone to defend yourself? No, obviously not. Now, I've referenced history and how with the Minsk agreements, there is essentially a cycle that has played out. And this video from the New York Times titled 20 Years of Putin Playing the West in 3 minutes. I do encourage you to watch the full 3 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and just play it for you. It documents just through sound bites and video the game that Putin's been playing. And because we constantly view the world through 2-year, 1-year, 4-year lenses,
it's hard to see the bigger picture.
For God's sake, this man cannot.
A lot of countries do this, right? Like China plans hundreds of years into the future, right? But we see it in these short little snippets of back and forth with whoever we have as president at the time. So it's kind of hard to keep up with.
I found it to be very straightforward and trustworthy. I was able to get a sense of his soul. I wouldn't have invited him to my ranch if I didn't trust him.
The part that Russia has played in the international community since the 11th of September has been remarkable. I mean, we have cooperation today that would have been really unthinkable just a short time ago.
Der sehr freundschaftlichen Zusammenarbeit zwischen Russland und Deutschland, die vermutlich nie so gut war, wie sie jetzt ist, ist Vertrauen.
I am confident that this new level of cooperation between NATO's members and Russia will now change the world and for the better.
Поэтому предлагаю с этого момента штаб-квартиру НАТО переименовать в Дом Советов. Думаю, что это неплохой предложение.
I will declare that to be a joke.
Do I trust him? Yeah, I trust him.
Russian heavy guns were firing at Georgian positions inside Georgia. Buildings are burning from the last airstrike, and people are warning that the Russian Air Force may soon be back.
I brought with me today a big delegation of British business, all with an interest in expanding their trade with Russia.
We seek a significant and sensible approach to economic development across our continent, and to that end will now be closely interconnected for decades to come.
J'ai trouvé un homme très au fait de ses dossiers, très calme, très intelligent.
I'm aware of the extraordinary work that you've done on behalf of the Russian people.
Breaking news from Ukraine. Overnight, armed men seize control of 2 government buildings as Putin announces he's sending troops.
Many of Putin's critics have mysteriously become ill or died.
Vicious political assassination of one of President Vladimir Putin's most outspoken critics.
A new report about Russian interference in the presidential election. Next, to look at how strong the evidence is that points to the Putin government.
Former Russian spy is in a critical condition in hospital.
Investigators suspect the Kremlin could be behind the incident in Salisbury on Sunday.
He says great things about me. I'm going to say great things about him. He's been a leader far more than our president has been a leader.
Wouldn't it be great if we actually got along with Russia? Am I wrong in saying that? Wouldn't it be great?
I believe that President Putin really feels, and he feels
in a perfect world, that would be great.
Strongly that he did not meddle in our election. He's not going into Ukraine, okay? Just so you understand. He's not going to go into Ukraine.
So for podcast listeners, some of the context will be missed for you because the imagery that they're putting up on screen of the contradictions of, Putin's call for peace at different moments and acting like he could be a global partner, and then following that up with military invasions, mass death, and political assassinations and interference. And how he's, I say this not in a positive way, but the advantage of a regime like Putin's is he can play a game on a longer timetable. When you have, even though this is the much better system of government, when you have the democratic system as ours is, that you are constantly switching out leaders, then it's almost always in their short-term political advantage to go ahead and just path of least resistance it. And that's what we've seen. And that gives just enough for each leader to say, okay, I dealt with this crisis and we had to make some big concessions, but what are you going to do? And the next one comes in, the same game's played. And we can't fall into that again. And so learning from history should inform us about how to handle the present. And it seems Trump is so ready not to. Then a reporter asking Keir Starmer here a question that should really depress us about the state of America.
Likely scenario where Vladimir Putin doesn't come to his senses, where he continues putting unreasonable demands on any ceasefire, on any negotiated settlement, perhaps doesn't even come to the table at all. And in that scenario, we can't be certain that Donald Trump is going to side with us and not with him. What's plan B?
Well, firstly, we need to put Ukraine in the strongest possible position for
what's plan B?
Whatever comes next, which has been my persistent position, whether that's around the table, which is what I hope it will be in negotiations, or if that doesn't come to pass. Secondly, on the US and
yeah, and that's an important point too. Just remember that by Trump, maliciously or through misunderstanding, attacking Ukraine like he has, it then puts them in a worse position for leverage, for negotiations, and for peace that's longstanding. And the question is so heartbreaking to think about our allies, a reporter having to say, we don't know if in the case of continued impossible demands from Putin, if Trump will turn around and say, you know what, Ukraine, you should have to accept those. You should have to accept the kneecapping of your future defense of yourself. Essentially making inevitable future war as opposed to longstanding peace would be the demands that Putin is making. And if Trump turns, the reporter asked, we don't know if the US president will side with Putin. He might side with Putin on this. So what are we going to do? That is a profoundly frightening question. Okay, quick moment of comedic relief through absurdity of JD Vance. Here's JD saying this about his wife while she's standing behind him.
Oh, no. I'm proud to have her by my side. And here's the thing, because the cameras are all on, anything that I say, no matter how crazy, Usha has to smile and laugh and celebrate it.
Yeah, no matter how crazy I say, she has to smile, even though right now she's not doing much of
it. That does not come across well for a creepy guy like JD Vance.
A smile. She seems to be a little bit more of a wince with a performative smile there. But listen, there's a lot of online stories about me, Usha, that I did things unspeakable to couches. I just want to say, since you have to react positively, it's all true, Usha. It's all true. But smile on because you're on camera. No, kidding. That story's not true, but it's a funny one to reference for sure. He is charisma. Like, imagine if charisma were a person. Okay, that's him, except you took charisma behind the gas station and so brutally beat it, and then you put it through a wood chipper, and then you put that into a smoothie maker, and then you threw that away altogether and got a completely different thing, that's J.D. Vance. Okay. Wow, that was troubling. Then you have this from Trump's speech.
President Putin a lot about it. I said, don't do it. Don't do it. I won't tell you what the consequence was. I won't tell you what he said. But if he believed even 5% of what I said, then he would say, I'm not going to do it. And I think he did. But we had a good relationship, and we had a professional relationship, and he has respect for this country.
He has respect for this country. You know, when I think of people who respect the United States and its values, Putin, that's maybe the first person who comes to mind. What are you talking about, Donald? There are your updates on that, a really tenuous and troubling situation. If you appreciate the show and my delivery of that information, it's not good information, you're not going to like the information, but my delivery of it, I'd appreciate you clicking the subscribe button and the join button below.
Hold on just a second. I don't know. What do you guys think he's going to get a deal with Putin? Putin's already demanding basically everything just for the ceasefire. What would it take for a long-term deal? Is it even is he going to demand? Is he going to demand all of Ukraine? Who knows? I certainly don't. It's not a great outlook for the rest of us here. I don't know what to say. It is a bad place at a bad time with bad fucking people. So that's my current take on it. Let's see what's going on here.
Fascism is a cult of the leader who promises national...
She's not an immigrant, but her family is an immigrant, right?
Restoration in the face of supposed humiliation by immigrants, leftists, liberals, minorities, homosexuals, women, in the face of what the fascist leader says is a takeover of the country's media, cultural institutions, schools by these forces. And that's why you need a really macho, powerful, violent response. The fascist...
She was born in California, but her parents are immigrants. Like, she's first generation.
Leader says he will solve the problem. Fascism is right-wing by nature. It's based on ultranationalism. However, you can have ultranationalist movements that are ultranationalist movements of minority groups. There is left-wing authoritarianism. There are bad things on the left. Stalin killed many, many people. Mao killed many, many people. These are terrible figures, but not...
Oh, by the way, Elon Musk had to just delete a tweet about saying that Stalin, Mao, Hitler didn't kill millions of people. Their government workers did. He retweeted a post that claimed the cruelest authoritarian dictators of ever in existence didn't kill millions of people. It was the bureaucracy below them. When called out on it, he deleted it. Well, it's gone. I don't know what he did.
All terrible things are fascist. Fascism is a very particular ideological structure. When thinking about fascism, you can't think about these individual elements in isolation. They come as a bundle. My name is Jason Stanley. I'm the Jacob Urowski Professor of Philosophy at Yale University and the author of 5 books, most recently, How Fascism Works, The Politics of...
By the way, this is from 3 years ago.
Us and them.
I think Dr. J posted it and said it seems like this was made 3 days ago, not 3 years ago.
We forget that many fascist regimes started off as democratic political parties. We forget that Hitler, the Nazi Party, ran in an election. Fascist parties start as fascist social and political movements before they come to power. So it's important to see that these tactics occur even in societies that do not have a fascist regime. all nationalism involves a mythic past. So you can say, look, we're Polish people who spoke Polish and were sheep herders, and another bunch of Polish people who were fishermen. You can talk about how things were wonderful when we were all Polish together. That's a fine mythic past. But then there's the fascist mythic past. In the past, we were great. Wherein did our greatness...
Let me see. Musk elites claim that Stalin and Hitler didn't murder millions. Public sector employees did. Musk sharing an inflammatory social media post comes amid his regular posting of memes and jokes related to Nazis and the Holocaust after the billionaire appeared to make a fascist salute at Trump's inauguration rally. Tech billionaire who serves as advisor to U.S. President Donald Trump shared and later deleted a post on social media platform X on Thursday which said, Stalin, Mao, and Hitler didn't murder millions of people. Their public sector employees did. He retweeted that.
Michaela Robertson 81 gifted Jackson 69 as subscription.
That's a good one to retweet.
Michaela Robertson 81 gifted a tier 1 sub to Jackson 69.
Thank you for the gifted sub.
They have given 50 gift subs in the channel.
This consists in our military. And in the past, the dominant racial group ruled over others. And then the fascist leader says, that has been taken from you by the leftists and communists. They want to weaken our military.
That's a lot.
They want to weaken our greatness. Propaganda is ubiquitous.
They want to weaken our greatness, right? One of the best videos I've ever seen on this is, what is that guy's name? I'll be looking it up while you guys are watching.
And everyone uses propaganda. In political propaganda, your main message is something other than the information you're conveying. Fascist propaganda is a very particular structure. It's based around a friend-enemy distinction. The political opponent, they are a merciless threat to your very existence and your traditions. They are the other. When they are in charge, it subverts the nation. So the structure, fascist propaganda, is based on the idea that the other are fundamentally opposed to the nation. As Hitler says in Mein Kampf, science is only useful insofar as it strengthens the nation. Fascism is a cult of the leader. It involves the leader setting the rules about what's true and false. So any kind of expertise, reality, all of that is a challenge to the authority of the leader. If science would help him, then he can say, okay, I'll use it. Institutions that teach multiple perspectives on history in all its complexity are always a threat to the fascist leader. The center of democracy is truth. You're not free if you've been lied to. Nobody thinks the people of North Korea are free. The people of North Korea will vote for dear leader every time because they've been lied to. It's not a free vote because they don't have access to the truth. Equality similarly requires truth.
No one gets 100% of the vote 100% of the time. That's insane.
Because equality in democracy doesn't mean we all have the same amount of money. It doesn't mean we all have the same car. It means political equality, that each of our voices matters the same. And political equality means speaking truth to power. If someone really powerful is humiliated when they're caught lying, that's the core of political equality. So if you're going to rip the heart out of democracy, you get people used to lies. Here's a fact about humans. We all pretty much suck to the same degree. One group of us is not better than another group of us. Hierarchy is central here because it's the big lie at the center of things. What is racism but one big lie? Racism is the lie that one group is better than another. You're told this religion is better, this race is better, this gender is better. It's really a moral claim, has more moral worth. And then once you have hierarchy set up, you can make people very nervous and frightened about losing their position on that hierarchy. Hierarchy goes right into victimhood because once you convince people that they are justifiably higher on the hierarchy, then you can tell them that they're victims of equality. German Christians are victims of Jews. White Americans are victims of black American equality. Men are victims of feminism. Once you convince people that they should be better, that they have earned a position on the hierarchy over others, then you can tell them that equality is actually victimhood. Loyalty to the dominant group means law-abidingness, and the minority group is by its nature not law-abiding. Law and order in fascist politics means the members of the minority group who accept their subservient role, they're law-abiding, and the members of the dominant group, by their very nature, are law-abiding. By definition, the leader can't violate law and order. So law and order doesn't mean justice. Law and order doesn't mean equality. Law and order structures who's legitimate and who's not. Everywhere around the world, no matter what the situation is, in very different socioeconomic conditions, the fascist leader comes and tells you, your women and children are under threat. You need a strong man to your family.
Your women and children are under threat. We are going to be strong to protect you. None of these other people will.
Families. They make conservatives hysterically afraid of transgender rights or homosexuality, other ways of living. These are not people trying to live their own lives. They're trying to destroy your life, and they're coming after your children. What the fascist politician does is they take conservatives who aren't fascist at all, and they say, look, I know you might not like my ways. You might think I'm a womanizer. You might think I'm violent in my rhetoric, but you need someone like me now. You need someone like me because homosexuality, it isn't just trying for equality. It's coming after your family. Fascist movements typically, though not invariably, rest on an urban-rural divide. The cities are where there's decadence, where the elites congregate, where there's immigrants, there's criminality, there's Sodom and Gomorrah. In the city, there's not real work. The pure, hardworking, real members of the nation live in the rural areas where they work hard with their hands. When our politicians talk about inner city voters or urban voters, we all know what they mean. Arbeit macht frei, work shall make you free. This was written on the gates of Auschwitz. The idea is that the minority group, they're lazy and they need to be made to work. Free labor. The minority and the leftists are lazy by their nature, and it gives them a work ethic. Labor unions are run by communists who are trying to make things easier. Hard work is a virtue. In liberal democracy, we don't value people by how hard they work. What would happen to disabled people who can't work? They would then have no value. It's why the Nazis had the T4 program to murder the disabled, because the disabled were lebensunwertiges Leben, life unworthy of life, because to be valued was to be capable of hard work. Each of these individual elements is not in and of itself fascist, but you have to worry when they're all grouped together. When honest conservatives are lured into fascism by people who tell them, look, it's an existential fight. I know you don't accept everything we do, you don't accept every doctrine, but your family is under threat. Your family is at risk. So without us, you're in peril. Those moments are the times when we need to worry about fascism.
Get smarter faster with new videos.
Does this seem familiar to you, chat? It should. It should. It's happening right in front of us. Then the other video someone shared that I wanted to see was this one. What is this? Black community in Ohio forms safety program after the neo-Nazi rally.
Turn now to one community in Ohio, which is now the center of a growing national debate about civil rights, hate speech, and the Second Amendment. NBC News correspondent and NBC News Now daily anchor Morgan Radford visited the town of Lincoln Heights, where residents have formed an armed community defense group in the wake of a neo-Nazi rally. Morgan joins us now. You were there just on Tuesday. What did the residents tell you about what's going on?
Yeah, I was there just this week. John, it was fascinating because what's interesting is that this town was founded during the Great Migration back in the 20s as a refuge for black citizens, which is why it was especially painful when neo-Nazis suddenly appeared in this 3,000-person majority black town. But they decided to fight back, taking up arms and patrolling their own streets. Now they're at the center of a much larger debate about protection and free speech and who gets it.
These aren't police officers or soldiers.
Your business owners, your fathers, your sons, daughters.
These are civilians, members of the Lincoln Heights Safety and Watch Program.
It's a duty. Okay, let's go.
The duty, protecting their neighborhood, the majority black village of Lincoln Heights, Ohio. After neo-Nazis held a rally here last month, carrying rifles, waving swastikas, and hurling racial slurs, just moments before children were let out of school. At the time, law enforcement officials said the neo-Nazis did not break any laws, but an investigation by county prosecutors is ongoing. Weeks later, the KKK came with these flyers.
First African-American community above the Mason-Dixon line.
Safety and Watch Group spokesperson Durrance Daniels says the police did not do enough, which was more chilling because the town was founded in the 1920s as a safe haven for black residents.
Lincoln Heights is our home. If somebody broke into your home, you call the police, and the police says, you know, if they do it again, we haven't broken any law, so we're just going to allow them to break into your home again. What would you do?
Are you worried at all that having a potentially armed response could just create more friction, create more danger?
I'll answer that by saying I've never felt safer as a black man in my community than I have right now.
The mayor of Evendale, which oversees the police force that responded that day, said in a statement to NBC News, our emphasis on de-escalation and public safety resulted in the incident's resolution without injuries to any of the persons involved. But residents here say they can't afford to wait. Every day, the Safety and Watch Group escorts children to school and patrols the streets.
Why do you all wear masks?
Those Nazis, we have reports of them finding our backgrounds, so we're not hiding ourselves from the residents, but we're protecting our family from what we're doing out here.
While many locals do support the security group, some, business owner Eric Ruffin, say they wish the group wasn't needed.
Just getting serious.
We don't want to become what we hate. You know, we don't want to become a group of people that walk around feeling like we have a reason in America to have to protect ourselves.
And this community
stand up.
Is not backing down.
We contacted the mayor of Evendale's office, and they say that prosecutors are looking at body camera footage of the neo-Nazi rally to see if any criminal charges could be filed. But meantime, the Hamilton County Sheriff is also calling on state lawmakers to pass legislation making it a crime to wear a mask with the purpose of intimidation while open carrying, guys.
So, Morgan, let me ask you, one of the people you interviewed there, a young man, said he's never felt safer in his community than he does now. So this could have an impact nationwide, things like this. I mean, there is a contagion factor in safety. People always seek it. What did the mayor or anybody that you spoke to think about the contagion factor?
Durrance, I don't want to speak for him, but after my conversation with him, I feel like I could confidently say he would say the contagion factor has already happened. Because when I asked, is this a reaction to a local moment or a national movement? And he said, look at January 6th. He said, you already have people felt emboldened to come here locally because of what they saw nationally. If you can hang from the building of the hallowed halls of the Capitol and then be pardoned, not be prosecuted, why don't you think you can come to a small village of African Americans, only 3,000 people?
Morgan, does the group have any real authority? But as long as they stay within the confines of the law, they should be okay.
It's a great question. You know, I asked that basically, are you stopping cars when they come in because you think someone looks suspicious? Is that, you know, profiling in its own sort of way? And they said, no. We are patently aware of what our rights are and what our limitations are. They said, we're not officers. What we do is we are trying to cooperate with the police department. So if we see suspicious activity, because remember the KKK came back with flyers just after this rally. So they're saying this is more of a defensive posture to deter people from entering our community and showing them by virtue of our masks, by virtue of our guns, that you can't come here and we're not going to take this punch lying down.
All right, an important story, fascinating. NBC News correspondent and NBC News Now daily anchor Morgan Radford. Morgan, thank you. Good to see you.
There's a video I'm trying to find and I can't find it. I've looked for it before. The first time I saw it was when I still supported Trump, and it kind of pissed me off because of how accurate it was, and I cannot find it. I don't even know what to look because I can't remember the guy's name that made it. But basically, he goes to the video and he's like, "We're divided right now." He's like a Southern guy. He's like, "We're divided right now, but there's some things that we can agree on. I'm going to give you two things. Even Republicans can watch this. This guy's liberal, left. And he's like, there's two things. I'm going to give you two things I agree with on Trump and then one that I disagree with." And he goes to this whole list of things about Trump that we should be able to agree are true. But I can't remember who did the video. This is a twist at the end, obviously, but I can't remember who did the video. I want to see this one. This was just suggested to me.
It's all going on in terms of
no, not Trey Crowder.
Peace talks. as we know, Zelensky and Ukraine have agreed to the principle of a 30-day ceasefire, no questions asked, no conditions. And after this, Donald Trump said, well, it takes two to tango, and Marco Rubio over there in Saudi Arabia said, well, the ball is now in Russia's court. This was followed last night by Putin unleashing all hell on Kiev. He bombed the hell out of Kiev all night. I think that was the message. I think the message from Putin is, look, you can boss Zelensky around, you can boss Ukraine around, but you're not going to boss me and Russia around. So he's dealing with a very different kettle of fish when he's talking to Putin and the Kremlin here. Now, so I do believe that poses a problem. And Russia will not agree, I don't think, to a ceasefire without conditions. They have conditions. So the idea that peace is just a short hop and a skip away, I think, is a pipe dream. But Trump, this has just emerged. Glad I've got you here. Trump has literally just threatened Putin with a devastating punishment if he does not accept the Ukraine ceasefire. He said this could lead to World War III. He then actually sort of dials down his rhetoric by saying that the punishment he has in mind would be severe and financial. But I think what's happening here is he's talking to Putin now. He's talking to the Kremlin. That isn't the same as talking to Ukraine. He can't push Russia around. And in fact, the way that he's positioned himself, I mean, I'm quite a fan of Trump, and I'm a big fan of trying to end this war because I don't like hundreds of thousands of young men dying in horrific circumstances in cold fields in the east. But
everybody can want to end the war, but if the leader of the country that invaded the other country doesn't, does it really fucking matter? If every other country on the planet wants to end the war and Russia doesn't, does it really fucking matter?
He's positioned himself.
I don't think he was a prepper. I don't know.
He's pulling all the strings. I'll get everybody around the table. I'll knock their heads together. I'll get a peace deal. Well,
he does videos like standing in his garage or like an outbuilding or something. God, I wish I could find it. It pissed me off when I first saw it because I was a Trump supporter and I was like agreeing with it. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
Zelensky's having to suck that up. Putin just won't. He will not accept that Trump is playing all the cards here, will he?
No, absolutely. I think the power dynamics between the USA and Ukraine is very different to the power dynamics between the USA and Russia. And I think that the way Washington engages with Kiev cannot adopt the same kind of approach when engaging with the Kremlin. In my view, I think that would be unwise diplomacy. And I think in terms of ceasefire, of course, there's many people across the world who want to see a ceasefire, and they want to see this war come to an end. The tragic loss of life on an industrial scale between two neighbouring countries. But I think for me, I think that the Kremlin, the only way that they could really agree to the end of this war is if Ukraine makes.
I think January 6th really fucked me up, dude. Watching January 6th and not knowing about it, and then my whole show was around like busting grifters, the people that were using Trump and this Q and stuff around Trump, stuff Trump said. To make millions of dollars, right, and build these gigantic audiences. But it was impossible to fact check them without fact checking Trump. Because before, I felt like I was doing fact checks, but really, I was just taking Trump's spin on it and then using that as my fact check. But then when I really started fact checking everything, it was impossible to not fact check Trump while fact checking them because they play on so much of the bullshit that he says that are just fucking lies.
Major territorial concessions on its part, and I think those kind of territorial concessions are hugely unpalatable for Zelensky. So even though I'd love to be hopeful and optimistic and think that, and I'd love to believe that peace is around the corner, but I still have a high level of pessimism, especially over this conflict.
Yes, I mean, Trump and Vance and the team and Rubio, they much play of we want proof that Zelensky and Ukraine are sincere about their desire for peace. Well, that now is clear. You know, they're going to do this mineral deal, and Trump is so satisfied now that Zelensky is back on side that he has restored US military support to Ukraine and indeed intelligence sharing support. So that is all back on track. So he's happy with Ukraine. The only thing we now have to find out is Putin sincere about wanting peace? I'm not sure that he is at all. I think war rather suits him.
Well, I also think that the latest assault on Kiev suggests that he's not warming up towards a ceasefire. Exactly. It might be, forgive me for being a cynic. Yeah. But I think for me, if you look at the war itself, I think that the one thing that Russia has demonstrated over decades.
I don't know that I ever protected him. I called him out on stupid shit. But in just fact checking this stuff, especially around the election, everything he lied about with the election and then the fake elector skit, like it just all kept getting worse and worse and worse, the shit that he would go to stay in power. That can't be a U.S. president trying to do this, right? Trying to subvert the entire fucking system to stay in power.
Also, back in the days of it being the Soviet Union, is willing to tolerate a high level of casualties in its wartime efforts. It's almost like it's in their psyche. It's within their national DNA. And I think that even though we're talking about, the Russian military suffered severe blows, they've lost many lives that they didn't expect. That may well be true, but they have that tolerance for really accepting those industrial scale casualties if they feel that it will satisfy their strategic objectives. And I think that's a huge stumbling block towards peace here.
Indeed. Well, let's talk about the other aspect of Trump's world. It's Donald Trump's world. We just live in it. Now, it's the tariff situation. Obviously, he's at tariff war with China, Mexico, and Canada. He's just imposed massive tariffs on the EU. The EU has responded with tit-for-tat tariffs. I believe that Canada's set to do that as well, and of course, China has. So we've got a major tariff war going on, which may plunge America into a recession. So I'm not entirely sure what Trump is up to here. But here's our problem here in Britain. Keir Starmer.
Yeah, I was to the point. I still believe that he shouldn't have been allowed to run after the bullshit, like hiding people in fucking government buildings overnight because they knew they weren't going to let them in the next day to make the fake slate of electors and shit. Like, of course he shouldn't have been able to run.
Quite strangely, I believe, it sort of set himself. I'm very close with Donald. We're special relationship. We're very close. He won't impose tariffs on Britain. We're getting a special trade deal. We're not in the EU anymore. This is the beauty of it. Guess what happened this morning? Donald Trump imposed a 25% levy on steel, British steel and aluminium imports. Instant devastation to our steel and aluminium industries. And Starmer has responded by not imposing tit-for-tat tariffs, saying he's keeping a cool head. Jonathan Reynolds, taking a break from pretending to be a solicitor. He's our business secretary. He said, we're not going to react dramatically here because we're involved in trying to secure a wider trade deal with America. This is just fantasy world.
Make sure you go after all your allies. Oh, and China. What the fuck?
Trump is walking all over us, and Starmer is trying to pretend he's his best friend. We've got to do something about this, haven't we?
I think, Kevin, the special relationship as a concept is a fantasy. Yeah. It really is. And I think that this idea of a special relationship, it may be popular within British policy circles, but I'm not sure that's necessarily reciprocated across the Atlantic. And it was very clear that President Trump, he wants to adopt this aggressively protectionist policy. Mm-hmm. If I remember correctly, he said that tariffs is the most beautiful word in the dictionary.
Yeah, along with wife and love or something, and tariffs.
So it's very clear that he's going to adopt this very aggressively protectionist approach. That doesn't nestle in with the possibility that we might be able to strike this wonderful free trade agreement with the United States. The two don't go hand in hand. So I think that there's a great deal of confusion within the Labour government in terms of what it can really achieve with the Trump-Vance administration. But I think that this idea that we have a special relationship, I think we actually need to get away from that concept a little bit. And I think
seems very concerned with Ukrainians dying on the battlefield. Doesn't give a fuck about wiping Palestine off the map.
The signs from the Trump administration, the initial signs, is that the United States perhaps might not be the reliable ally they may be in the past.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of the actions and the approach by Trump and Vance is dictated by their cultural beliefs. And they categorise Keir Starmer as just another woke, weak European enemy of freedom of speech. So they don't particularly hold any candle for Keir Starmer. And Keir Starmer thinking that they do, I think, is developing into a problem for this country. Rakib, fantastic hour. I've got to go now, but really good to talk to you. It's always a pleasure.
I don't know that. Hold on. I wonder if anybody else has done a video on this. Russia would gain nothing. I don't know that Russia, I swear I don't think the Russian economy can handle, from the people that I've heard talk about it, I don't think they can handle just stopping the war. Everything's on a wartime footing. Their economy's not doing so great. Now, I think Trump will try to soften their fall, like we've been talking about, like relieving sanctions and shit like that. But, man, it's going to be bad. There was a video. Where's that video I was watching earlier? You guys want to see another police video? A palate cleanser. I do get tired of talking about Trump. Holy fuck, dude. Seems like every day there's like 100 things we got to fucking cover. There were a couple that weren't so great. This woman's pretty crazy. I watch police videos when I get tired of the whole world going to shit.
On December 4th, 2022, the Dunwoody Police Department responded to a noise complaint at the Embassy Suites by Hilton in Atlanta, Georgia. Hotel staff reported that a room full of unsupervised children had been causing a disturbance, with 5 separate noise complaints lodged against them.
So the kids apparently were going to multiple floors, screaming, yelling, beating on doors. Down in the lobby, they had to be asked to leave the lobby 3 times. And the parent was not there. It was just kids in a hotel room. And they look like they're maybe, the oldest one might be like 14. The youngest one's probably like 8, 9.
The front desk requested the occupants be removed from the property.
Hello. Pretty much long story made bearable. 807. It's a room full of young ladies, none over the age, I think, of 13, 14. It's pretty much upstairs, unsupervised. We've gotten 4 different room complaints about noise. So they're going to be asked to leave tonight.
Okay. Do you want them to quiet down or you want them to leave?
I can hear the wind picking up again. So if we lose a stream, it's probably either power or internet. Like we've got storms coming in tonight, guys. I'll do what I can.
Who's the room under?
It's under Mrs. Jeannie Cooper.
It's me.
Okay.
What's the problem?
What the fuck? So the mom just comes out of nowhere. Who's the room under? It's me.
We've gotten several noise complaints that refuse to stay inside the room. We've asked them multiple times to stay inside the room. They've disrupted multiple floors and people. So at this point, they're going to be asked to leave.
So y'all refunding me? Okay, we not leaving.
I don't know many places that do. I mean, they might just to be nice or just to make it simpler, but they're under no obligation if you're thrown out of a hotel to refund you.
So they're going to be asked to leave. We've been reasonable in asking them to go to their rooms.
So you asked them to go to their room and they didn't go?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So why didn't y'all call me?
Ma'am, we attempted to call the room first. I ended up calling you because I couldn't get in contact with somebody in the room. Security went to the room multiple times. They wouldn't open the door. When they knocked on it, when they didn't know security was outside the door, they opened the door. That's how security got inside the room. So, being that I called you and you said you was in the parking lot, that was maybe...
that was maybe 5 minutes ago.
So he did call her once, and she said she was in the parking lot.
We're from out of town, and there's no way we're leaving.
Well, they have the right to do that.
Okay, but I'm asking tonight. I'm here. They're not going to be disruptive no more tonight.
Ma'am, at this point, they've caused enough disturbance to now have to refund other guests. Will be asked to leave. There won't be a refund of this. The kids have been downstairs. They've been asked to leave multiple times to the lobby area. So this isn't something that it's at to the point where it's no coming back at this point. So that's when I said to you on the phone, before you blew up on me over the phone.
Stop. Don't do that. Okay. Don't do that because no, it's no bill. Don't do that because the laws are right here. Now I'm blowing up because I did not blow up on you on the phone. Stop.
It doesn't matter.
It don't care.
It doesn't matter. Well, I'm talking to you.
Well, I don't
so
care.
What I'm telling you is that they're asking you to leave. You're going to have to leave.
I did not blow up on you on the phone. I'm on my tongue. I'm more on my tongue, but I didn't blow up on you on the phone. I did not. You know that I did not. I did not blow up on you on the phone. I did not. So let's not do that. I know we got the laws here, but I did not blow up on you on the phone.
The same thing I'm saying to you is the same thing I said when they weren't here.
No. The same thing you're saying to me is what you said to me on the phone, but I did not blow up on you. Okay, I did not.
Actors up and leave. We've gotten multiple rooms. If you want to go speak to the rooms that called down, I can read the room numbers. You can go ask them.
It doesn't matter. You have the right to.
But at this point, this decision's been made to know that that's the leave.
I'm not leaving. I pay too much. I'm from out of town. I'm not going to leave.
I do understand it, but
I have 4 girls upstairs. I'm not going to leave.
It's more than 4 girls upstairs.
It's 4 girls.
It's more than 4 girls.
So how many girls is it up there?
I'm not sure how many.
How do you know? So if you're saying that you're not sure, it's 4 girls. It's been multiple parties in this room. It's multiple parties in this hotel. I have 4 girls in my room right now. Do I need to call them down there? I literally have 4 girls. 4.
I have 4, but they probably with the other girls there, but...
No, I have 4 girls in my room. How many girls are you saying? I have 4 girls. It's multiple...
Does it matter?
Parties here tonight. It's multiple parties.
So
I have
know, like, they get ready to come back down and stuff. They just came down, like,
I had to ask the young ladies on multiple occasions
they've been coming down
to go back into the room for being in the lobby all over the place. So when we were calling the room, we thought that an adult was in the actual room. When I reached out to you on the phone, that was just maybe 20 minutes ago. So when I couldn't get in contact,
You reached out to me on my cell phone. I don't know what you called the room. I don't know about that. I wasn't in there.
Well, that's the thing. When security goes to the room and we figure out, okay, there's not an adult in the room.
What's the room?
It's 807.
But I only have 4 girls in there.
Ma'am, listen.
4. 4.
Jesus Christ. He said, gave the room number. You're done.
I'm not yelling. Don't do that. It's like you putting on because the law is here. Like, chill out, man. Like you just said, you was on the phone and you had a conversation. I was being loud, wasn't it? It doesn't matter. It wasn't the same thing. It wasn't the same thing. I'm not leaving. So what y'all gonna do?
You have to leave if they ask you to leave. If not, you have to.
Okay, well, refund me.
They can't. That's not in their policy.
Refund me, man. Shut up. You fucking
So
scary.
here's something, man.
You're not even like, what the fuck, bro?
How old are the kids?
Y'all pissing me off, man. No, you pissing me off because I'm trying to say I got
Don't go back trying to watch her back and forth.
Don't. Because you already done lied and said I was getting hyped on the phone and I wasn't, but now I'm hyped.
Down, madam.
Absolutely.
Ma'am.
My key's not working. What? How weird, man. Well, let me go upstairs and get my 4 kids. And you can stay your ass down here.
We have to go up there, man. But I'm not gonna. You just have to go and get them and bring them down.
Man, they're kids.
I understand.
What you gonna go up there and get?
Man, I just gotta make sure.
What you mean you gonna go up there and get what?
I gotta make sure you
It's
leave.
kids.
Why are you screaming?
It's kids. Because y'all done pissed me off now.
If you scream, then we're going to arrest you and it's going to get worse.
We're not gonna
Yeah, we are. Because it's not disorderly. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
I'm gonna get my kids.
Okay.
And I'm gonna leave.
Bring down your voice.
No, I'm not.
Yes. Ma'am, talk to me.
No,
Talk to
I'm
me.
not talking to you.
We're not.
I'm not talking to y'all. I'm not talking to y'all.
That escalated quickly, huh?
Get your kids.
I'm going to get them. I'm going to get them.
We're about the kids.
I'm going to get
You're about to go to jail.
I don't give a fuck, man, at this point. I don't. Because he's fucking lying. He never caught me.
Man,
we never had a conversation. Yeah, because I'm pissed now.
Don't be
Because
pissed.
y'all done did too much.
I'm trying to give you a break
pissed
here.
now.
I'm trying to get you a break.
Really? Are you?
Yeah,
I
because
wonder where the fuck she was at, dude.
I'm about to take you to jail, and I'd rather you just get your kids and go to another hotel. We got it. 8 o'clock.
He's fucking lying. He never called me. We never had an argument on the phone. None of that never happened. I'm pissed now,
What I'm
though.
trying to tell you
Man,
is that doesn't matter.
I don't want to hear it. Because he's a liar. He just a whole lie.
Backup officers arrived in an effort to de-escalate the situation.
Of course
but
they
the
did.
woman continued to escalate her behavior.
Guest here has been asked to leave by the hotel. She doesn't want to leave, but now she's going to try to get her kids and leave. She's got a heightened sense of emotions right now, so she is very close to being detained. So I'm gonna give her one more chance to get the kids out of the room calmly.
Ma'am, you haven't dealt with me yet. I just got here. I know you've been a little uptight with the other officers that are here.
It's not even about the other officers.
Oh, okay, here we go again.
It's about the...
I do think this one guy probably jumped the gun. Everybody else has been fine. This one guy did jump the gun kind of quick. He's like, I know you've been kind of uptight with the other officers here. And she's like, it's not even about the, okay, here you go, hopping up again. Like, he probably jumps the gun a little bit right here.
A little uptight with the other officers that are here.
It's not even about the other officers.
Oh, okay, here we go again.
It's about the... It's not... What do you mean here we go again?
You already getting hyped.
No, I'm not getting hyped. See, you're already prepared for me to get hyped.
Because
you already heard what I did.
Because you're hyped.
No, I'm not hyped.
Okay, you gonna get
You already said here I go
your
again
kids and
before I
leave?
said one word.
Are you gonna get your kids and leave?
No, you already said here
Are
I go
you going
again.
to get your kids and leave?
You already said
Yes or no?
here I go again before I even got hyped. Like, what are you... What you guys are weird.
We want you to get out of here before you're arrested.
Here I go again. I'm not going to get arrested because I'm not doing anything.
You're being disorderly.
I'm not being disorderly.
All right, stand up.
I said that my kids did not do anything.
Stand up. I gave you a chance and you haven't done it.
Man, I didn't do nothing. Okay.
Yeah, he probably jumped that pretty quick, right?
Let me get my kids.
Stop pulling away.
I'm not pulling away. I'm not. I'm just saying, like, this guy lied on me. I did not do anything. My kids, we didn't argue over the phone. We didn't do any of that. We didn't argue or nothing. Like, this shit crazy.
33, 1 to 10.
I didn't even fucking.
It's because he changed his channel name. I found it. We're going to watch it in just a second. And I will tell you, when I watched this and agreed with this video, I got to find it still. I was pissed because at the time I supported Trump.
Do one thing.
I tell my wife to calm down all the fucking time. And if she still doesn't, snap to real quick, sometimes I hand her a butter knife. And she automatically just opens the fridge, gets out the mayo. She knows there's a sandwich to be made. It really helps her focus. It's like stimming.
My kids didn't get I didn't argue with this guy over the phone or nothing.
Does she have kids?
Yes, I was trying to call my husband to come up here.
You can just go up there.
I was trying to call my husband to come up here.
Where's your husband?
He's coming. I was trying to call him. That's why I was sitting right here, but I'm just trying to understand why he's lying, saying that we argued over the phone because we didn't. I never argued with this guy. I'm literally trying to call my husband to come up here and get the kids. That's what I was just doing. Before you came over here and said, oh, what are you going to do? Are you going to argue with me? Oh, here you go again. You didn't even give me a chance to say.
You may punch me in the throat when I get home, but I'm the only one punching you in the back of the throat.
Nothing. You just literally started just.
You had plenty of chances.
Assuming because
You had plenty of chances.
What I did.
You had plenty of chances.
No, you didn't have. I didn't have plenty of chances.
I gave you more chances than I should have.
He said I argued with him over the phone and I didn't. I'm trying to understand what's going on. And then you walked over.
You're getting kicked out of the hotel. That's what's going on. And you wouldn't leave.
No, I'm calling my husband to come and get my kid. I got 4 girls up there. I have a Q50. I don't have enough room in my car to get these girls. So I'm trying to call my husband to come and pick them up.
His husband on the way.
I can't call him.
All right, we're gonna go outside.
God damn. Give me a chance to call him. I don't have enough room to get these girls.
She seems like she's doing well.
Call him when you were sitting here.
I'm trying to call him and you coming up asking me.
Nothing.
I was
Let's
on
take her
my
to the car.
phone. Stop.
Let's take her to the
You're
car.
lying. Check my text messages. Take my call up. I'm calling my husband. I have room to get these girls in my car. This is my car right here.
Okay.
I got 4 girls up there. I got food. I got cake. I don't have enough room. Check my call up. I'm calling my husband on my phone right now. Like, what the hell?
This way.
No. Give me a chance to call my husband to get my kids.
We're going
Look, you're being ridiculous.
No, I'm not. You're not giving me a chance, sir.
You
You're
got
not.
plenty of chances.
No, you didn't.
You had plenty of chances.
The guy called it. The guy
I gave you more than I should have.
The guy said that, hey, he said he talked to me on the phone. He said I yelled and screamed. I didn't. You didn't give me a chance.
I gave you more chances than I should have.
No, you did
I
not.
told you they wanted you to leave and you blew
But I
in my
have to
face.
call my husband. No, I blew up in
Yes,
my
you
face
did.
because he was saying that I was he was saying that I was arguing with him on the phone and I
Well, you know one thing that's wonderful, it's all body recorded, so if it didn't happen, it didn't happen, but at least we got evidence, so.
Okay, but can I just call my husband to get these kids?
We're gonna make sure a phone call gets to your husband.
Please.
I need to take this off.
This is so fucking ridiculous. Like, this is crazy.
No,
it's too much. No, stop. You stop. Can you please just allow me to call my husband to get these kids?
We're going to let you call.
Please. I don't want to go to jail. I just want to get my kids.
Oh, it's too late. You're going to jail.
Why am I going to jail?
Oh, I told you you're going to jail.
For what?
I gave you more than I should have. More chances than I should have. You're going for disorderly conduct.
I didn't do anything.
Ma'am, you can argue that with the judge.
I sat down and I tried to call my husband.
All right, well,
and he came over here arguing with me about why it wasn't. The first thing he said was, here we go. And I'm trying to call my husband.
And you can argue that with the judge, but you're going to jail.
Why am I going to jail?
I gave you plenty of chances, ma'am. I gave you plenty of chances.
Stop. I literally was trying to call my husband, sitting down, not doing nothing. And he came over here trying to argue with me. Can I just call my husband? Please. I don't have anything on me.
You know how many times I'm told that?
This is crazy. Like, I cannot believe this shit, man.
Well, believe it.
Well, believe it.
I cannot believe this shit. Like, I'm literally not even doing anything wrong. I'm literally, can
make sure her phone gets to your husband.
Have a seat.
You got to sit all the way in the car.
You did not give me a chance. You literally came over there and just like started going off.
Ma'am, you either
sit in the car.
Or drag you in the car.
Sit in the car.
Y'all are really being ridiculous
Okay,
right
well,
now.
at this point we are. You got to sit in the car.
I'm literally trying to call my husband.
We're
and y'all
going to
not
make sure
giving me
a call
chance.
gets to him. You got to sit in the car.
No, but I don't want to go to jail.
Well, you're
Why am I
going. That's
to
too late for that.
jail?
It's too late for that. I gave you plenty of chances. Pull her
No,
in.
you
Pull her
didn't
in.
give me a penalty. You don't have to pull me in. I'm gonna get in.
Okay. Hey.
Are y'all kidding me right now?
Put that foot in.
You literally did not give me a chance to call my husband. This is crazy. I have
We're gonna make sure
13 and 12-year-olds in here.
Slide in before he pulls you in.
I have 13 and 12-year-olds in here. Stop. Okay, I'm getting in. Are y'all kidding me? Oh my God.
Meanwhile, officers went to the room to inform the children that they needed to leave. Arrangements were made for their parents to pick them up.
Dunwoody Police, please open up. Hey girls, how many of you guys are in here?
It's 5. My mom's downstairs talking to the people.
Yeah, okay. Can you bring all your sisters out here real quick? Are they your sisters' friends? Bring them out here real quick. They're not in trouble. You're not in trouble. I just gotta talk to you guys real quick.
We did not do anything.
You're not in trouble. Just come out here real quick. Don't worry about it. Come here. Okay, ladies. Okay, come here. Can you guys come here real quick? You're not in trouble. Just relax. Okay.
No.
Can you bring the last one out here too? Yeah. Don't be scared. You're not in trouble. We're not arresting anybody. Okay. But because this is a private business, they don't want you to be here anymore. So I'm gonna need you guys to pack up your. Whose mom? She's downstairs. Your dad's coming. Okay. I need you guys to pack up your stuff, and then we're gonna be back up here in about 5.
Who the fuck would leave their kids alone like that?
10 minutes to get you guys.
I'm in a parking lot.
Okay.
I'm already packed.
You already packed? Everything's already set up? Okay, just have your stuff ready. I'll be back up about 5-10 minutes because your dad's coming, all right? I don't want them to see them all in handcuffs, okay? They're already packed up. They're waiting for the dad. I don't want them to see them all in handcuffs. Yeah, she's already out by the cars.
Yeah, so...
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes?
Where's my mom?
She's downstairs with the police officer.
Will I be able to see her?
Yes. Your mom's okay. She's fine, okay? You guys just relax a little bit. We'll let you talk to him a little bit. We need to make sure you guys are okay first.
Madison.
Are you guys talking to somebody's parents? I can talk to them.
Madison, come here.
You would think someone's crazy, like, let me talk to the police officers.
Yeah.
The woman was transported to the DeKalb County Jail and charged with disorderly conduct.
All right. We're gonna walk.
During the conversation, she asked the officer for the kids' names and their parents' information, as she seemed uncertain about who was who.
Who is my daughter with?
Let me ask again. I forgot what this. 33 to 21.
Who is her daughter? What's her daughter's name?
Can you let me know who the offender's daughter is with again? The name again?
Markeisha. Who is Markeisha's daughter?
She's wanting to know who Markeisha's daughter is, so she knows who she is.
The daughter's name is Markeisha. We're still waiting for the parents. They're not here yet.
Markeisha, I don't know who that is. Oh my God.
I don't even know who that is.
Jaleel.
Jesus Christ.
Micaiah and Tamia. I don't know who Markeisha is. Oh my God.
Yeah, it sucks to see kids crying and upset about their parents, watch their parents being arrested, or at least they didn't have to go see her in cuffs and all the stuff that happened in the lobby.
That's it. That's all I know. Jalea, Tamia, Aaliyah, and Micaiah. I don't know who Markeisha is. I don't have a Markeisha kid. Like, what? God. Markeisha is the kid, or is is at the mall.
That's what he was saying, yeah. And then they're waiting on the parent to come to show up.
Oh, it's Marquisha. I feel like these kids, just was saying, these kids bad. They could be lying about their names. Who the fuck? I don't even know.
Well, we're gonna. I mean, we get the.
Sad. These kids are bad. It's crazy. None of those kids' names are Marquisha. They could be lying. Like, that's not their names. What?
Could that be a nickname?
Maybe, but why would you give the officer a nickname?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying? That's just, that'd be no damn sense. And that's why I know they ass was on other floors doing shit they wasn't supposed to be doing, because why would you even lie to an officer? Stupid.
Well, when the parents come, they're gonna
They're your kids, right?
definitely get all.
I mean, some of them, I guess, are friends. Are your kids.
Because they got to follow our P's and Q's on that. So they're gonna have driver's license numbers, all that.
Tell them about the time that you were getting ready for homecoming and your dad tried to shoplift some White Rain hairspray at the local grocery store. He got drug out by the police.
Phone numbers. Believe me, it is 1,000 times better than going with the state. Because then you're in a whole nother world of headache when you have to deal with defects.
Yeah.
Come in. Is it gonna come in?
All right, I found our video. This is now okay. I gotta put a disclaimer out here. This guy has since stepped down from his channel. And I know the reason why. I think his background came out when he started getting bigger, and it was pretty bad, like human trafficking bad. But I don't think that affects this take right here. He seems like he's a changed guy or whatever. A lot of people wouldn't forgive him, because if you look at the court documents and then what he says happened with this human trafficking thing, if you look at those two, his statement and their shit, it doesn't exactly add up, okay? But this video is a pretty good take. And then I'll show you what his background looks like. Beau of the Fifth Column. The channel name is now Belle of the Ranch. He has stepped down from his channel, and I guess his wife or someone has taken it over. Beau of the Fifth Column. This video pissed me off at the time.
Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Beau again. So today,
a lot of those body cam channels end up getting demonetized. That's why I guess that's why they try to bleep out and blur as much as they can. But I've seen them complain about it.
we're going to talk about understanding. This is a requested video. Somebody asked me if I would be willing to just once on Trump's last day catalog his accomplishments the way his supporters see them, in hopes of promoting understanding.
Yeah.
I'm all about understanding. And I actually think this is going to be a good exercise. If you have a Trump supporting friend, get him near you. Let him listen to this. Because I'm going to, in good...
Someone shared this to me, and it really did make me mad at the time.
Try to
made me question a lot of things.
Things that his supporters really liked about him. But since it is my channel, I'm going to do it 6 good things, and then I'm going to say 1 bad thing that I think all of his supporters will be like, yeah, he totally did that. And then I'm going to name 6 more good things, and then 1 bad thing. Watch to the end.
By the way, if you want this link to send to a Trump supporter, please do. Somebody that you could actually talk to. It isn't completely brainwashed.
Okay. His supporters loved the fact that under him, nobody had to be ashamed that they loved the American flag or the bald eagle, those symbols of the nation. He brought nationalism back. He made it okay. They liked that. He enforced, or at least promoted, traditional family roles. He made national security paramount. Really important thing. And he focused on that. Because he was doing that, he didn't wobble. When it came time to call a bad guy, he did it. He let us know who our enemies were. Because he knew who our enemies were and knew that we had opposition out there, He didn't care about conventions or rights that they may have. Now, to the liberals watching this, I know y'all, like, that's not a good thing. To them it is. To them it is because they want to win. And they don't care how they do it. When it comes to something like that, when it comes to national security issues, they want to win, period. Because of those opposition groups, he made the military supreme. The most important thing, bar none. 6 positive things. So here's my negative one. He engaged in cronyism. I mean, I think everybody would admit that. He hired his family members who were less than qualified for those positions. I don't think anybody would deny that. That's my negative one. He didn't let the media run him. He ran the media. He called them out. He didn't let them get away with anything. If he thought they were lying, he said they were lying, and he told his supporters which outlets they could trust. He protected our business interest, American business interest, at home and abroad, with the full force of the U.S. government. He established mutually beneficial relationships between government and private sector and used the U.S. government to make it happen, to make things run on time. He did not let the lefty labor groups gain an inch. He didn't waste time, money, on horrible art or impractical, unmarketable, liberal arts type of intellectual activities. He didn't push that. He focused on law and order, crime and punishment. It was a big focus of his, and his supporters loved it. And he brought religion back into the forefront, God back into the White House and all of that. His supporters loved it. Now my negative thing. He undermined the elections. To what extent his supporters may argue, but there is no doubt that he did. So, I just named 12 positive things and 2 negative things that I believe most honest supporters of Trump would admit were true. 14 things in total. So now you have a clear picture of what they believe. Now, for the Trump supporters, here's why liberals and leftists and a lot of centrists were so opposed to this. These 14 points are the 14 characteristics of fascism. You were nodding your head throughout the whole thing, I imagine. There will be a link down below with this list to it. You can listen to it again and read along. I didn't do them in order, but you'll be able to find them. It's a short list. That's why there was so much opposition. That's why people were so worried about the amount of power he was gaining. The 12 points that I just mentioned that were great things for Trump, and the 2 negative things that they would concede, are the 14 characteristics of fascism. Yeah, you were holding a monkey's paw when you asked me to do this video. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.
It pissed me off back then. God, it pissed me off. Anyways, that's the video from Bo of the Fifth Column. It's called Let's Talk About Trump's Accomplishments. But I don't agree with this YouTuber either, Bad Empanada. He's kind of a fucking radical lunatic who's like into going after people's kids and shit, Ethan Klein. The Bad Empanada did a video that got quite a bit of traction, 100,000 some views, got shared on Reddit quite a bit, about Bo of the Fifth Column about a year ago. Now, Bo of the Fifth Column gave his channel up to his wife, I'm assuming, another woman that lives in the house with him. I'm assuming his wife, about 8 months ago. So check this out.
This video is about a YouTuber.
We won't watch it all. It's like 30 minutes.
It's Bo of the Fifth Column. Real name, Justin Eric King. I will be showing with clear evidence that Justin King was an important member of a human trafficking ring and that he and his associates had at least 100 victims according to court records. King has never publicly admitted to or accounted for what he did. Instead, he's done the exact opposite. He spun the story to frame himself as a hero who broke the law in the process of helping vulnerable and desperate.
I don't think Trump's actually religious in any way, shape, or form. I think he does that to placate to his audience. Like having the new religious office in the White House and that stupid bitch that speaks in tongues. Right.
People. I usually don't make videos like this on my main channel. However, I addressed what Bo did about a year ago on my second channel with extensive evidence, and it got next to no attention, so he was able to just ignore it. So I've decided to make a more organized video addressing King's past on my main channel in the hopes that it will reach more people and that he might have to actually address it directly and honestly for the first time ever. Every claim made in this video will be backed up by a source.
the few times I've heard people have clips of Bo talking about this, he almost makes it sound like he got in trouble for trying to help illegal immigrants get here. But it seems like it was a trafficking ring where they were promising people jobs, and some of them were like forced into labor as like housekeepers and shit.
Usually a direct reference to publicly available court documents from Bo's trial. Citations will be numbered with the respective source linked under that number in the video description and the pinned comment. To begin, I'll let Justin King recount his own version of the story by playing a clip from an interview that he did
version of his story
podcast called Lions of Liberty back in 2016. At the time, he had not yet created the Bo persona and was still going by his real name and running his own news website called The Fifth Column. Here is his version of how he ended up getting arrested and serving time in prison.
Now, he does talk about being in prison and radicalizing himself and how it changed him and what he does talk about that openly, but I'll specifically about his charges. Like the prosecutors and states, attorney generals, they use his case as an example of how bad like forced labor rings can do. Like it's a bad case.
Well,
I'm not saying people can't change, but damn, he should have addressed this head on when he started getting traction. I know there's never really a good time to address, like if you start picking up on YouTube, probably never really a good time to address it, but it's got to be earlier than what he did, I would assume. Or else other YouTubers are just going to capitalize on it.
I was a military contractor for about 8 years. I did mostly non-governmental work. And at one point, we angered the federal government, and I got my door kicked in. And I kind of realized at that point that I might have better uses for my skills. And that brought me to journalism because I could shoot a gun and I could shoot a camera. So I started with Digital Journal, which is a small Canadian outlet. I moved to the Anti-Media, and then the Fifth Column.
Wow, let's just take a step back for a second. So can you tell us a little bit more about, I mean, I don't know how much you can detail, maybe legally, but what went on there with that whole incident there with getting your door kicked in? Was that...
Like, that's wild to say, I was a contractor, we pissed off the government. You were a human trafficker.
Because of something the company you were working for had done? Or, so was that...
Not only did the tech giants, I think J.D. Vance was handpicked by tech giants, right? He's the too many ties, right? He was handpicked by Peter Thiel. Funneled through Elon Musk and whoever else to get to Trump. Like he wasn't even like when everybody was like, oh, he might pick this guy, he might pick this woman, he might pick this person. He wasn't even on the list. And suddenly this Peter Thiel fucking brainstorm comes together and it's JD like, get the fuck out of here.
Is that something that you were under investigation for? Can you detail that a little bit more?
Well, basically, I worked for a company that did refugee recovery. We got refugees out of bad countries, whether it be Eastern Europe, Central Asia, wherever. We started working in Uzbekistan, and this much is my personal theory. Uzbekistan was a U.S. ally at the time. They were also really, really, really evil to Jewish people. We were getting them out, and we were visited by State Department, and they told us to stop. And I don't know if you've ever met any military contractors, but when you say something like that to them, especially when they've already been paid, you're likely to get, the middle finger, which is what happened. And they showed us. A few weeks later, we all had our doors kicked in and all got arrested. If I understand correctly, I do believe a synagogue hired us to get the people out of Uzbekistan.
So, Justin King's own version of events is that he was employed by what was probably a synagogue to help Jewish refugees escape Uzbekistan to the USA.
Now, does that sound like what you're about to hear about him? A synagogue asked him to get Jewish refugees away from anti-Semitism in Uzbekistan. And the U.S. government told him to stop. They just got, what?
In the process of doing this, he broke U.S. migration law, so he eventually ended up getting arrested and serving time in prison. In his recounting of the story, Bo is something of a martyr who broke the law and went to jail for a good cause, to help vulnerable, desperate, persecuted Jewish people get to safety. I'm going to show that all of this was a blatant lie. Bo disgustingly inverted the reality, where he very directly, knowingly, and intentionally deceived and exploited at least 100 other human beings for his own benefits, and instead framed himself as a hero who saved the vulnerable. We could talk about the immediately obvious holes in this story, like the fact that there's no record of this supposed massive anti-Semitism problem in Uzbekistan that caused a wave of Jewish refugees to flee there in the mid-2000s, the time period where Bo committed his crimes. Nor would it really make much sense for such refugees to have decided to illegally migrate to the USA rather than claim asylum upon arriving, or claim asylum in a closer Western European country, or go to Israel, where they could have gotten immediate citizenship. Such refugees, if they had ever actually existed, would have had at least a few dozen better options than illegally migrating to a country on the...
Uzbekistan is just north of Afghanistan and just south of Kazakhstan, maybe. It shares like a little bitty border with Afghanistan, right at the northern part of it.
complete opposite side of the world. The story simply makes no sense on the face of it. It's like something that someone would make up after watching Borat and mishearing Kazakhstan as Uzbekistan. But there's not really any need to go around poking holes in his story like this, because there is plenty of evidence that shows what he really did. Many of the court records from Bo's trial are publicly available, as are some academic and government reports that examine his case. And this evidence makes it very clear that he was definitely not helping refugees. Rather, he was a manager in a Florida company called Eurohouse, which was, in reality, a front for a human trafficking and forced labor ring. The fact that Bo worked at Eurohouse,
a human trafficking and forced labor ring,
is taken from his own resume at the time, which was entered onto the record as evidence during his trial and is thus directly cited in official court documents. In this resume, he stated that from 2004 to 2007, he worked for Eurohouse Holding Corporation. A description of the real activities that Eurohouse engaged in is provided by a post-trial summary from the Florida State University Center of the Advancement of Human Rights. I cite them at length. Eurohouse Holding Corporation brought Eastern European workers to the Florida Panhandle for short-term work on temporary J1 or H2B visas. The vast majority of the workers were females between the ages of 19 and 23. Moreover, most were also students who were in tents upon returning after several months to their home in Eastern Europe to continue their studies.
By the way, this is how most human trafficking is, right? It is like people promise to get jobs or whatever, then they get here, forced labor, they don't know who to turn to, they can't speak the language a lot of times, and they're forced into all kinds of horrible things.
Many had been promised non-existent jobs when they were recruited in their home countries. Upon their arrival in the Florida Panhandle, they were instead employed for substandard wages by Eurohouse and assigned to work in local hotels and resorts. Eurohouse operated as a labor subcontractor, providing services to hotels such as Isandes and Hilton. Eurohouse was able to offer the low bid on labor contracts precisely because they did not pay federal minimum wages to their employees. They further charged the students between $1,500 and $2,500 each for visa processing, job placement, and transportation fees. In addition, the young workers were charged to stay 15 or 20 persons per condominium throughout a variety of locations throughout the Panhandle.
15 to 20 per apartment.
Enforcement was carried out by verbal abuse, threats of violence, and threats of fines, or non-payment of wages. Almost all the young workers had a plane ticket allowing them to return to their home countries, but they would have incurred substantial costs were they to try and fly home at an earlier date. The labor trafficking conspiracy overall proved lucrative and seemingly insulated from law enforcement oversight.
So once they had them here, paying them substandard wages, substandard living conditions or whatever, they did have, almost all of them had a ticket way home in however many months, but they couldn't leave of their own accord. It's the same thing with like fucking the Tates, right?
Because the victims were exploited on a temporary basis, they most often simply chose to return home at the end of the summer without reporting the exploitation or participating in an investigation. This pattern finally changed in 2003 with the exploitation of a group of foreign nationals, predominantly from Bulgaria and Romania. With their assistance, the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office discovered a further criminal conspiracy that involved even more extensive visa fraud and alien smuggling on the part of Eurohouse officials. The ensuing investigation also revealed that U.S. citizen Justin King was employed as the front man for Eurohouse, negotiating new...
Justin King was the front man. He was the front man. He wasn't like, I didn't know, they just told me to watch security on this house, and I had no idea I was a government contractor, and I was just doing, he was the front man.
New contracts with hotel owners and communicating with state and federal agencies to further the conspiracy. As part of his role in the criminal operation, King submitted over 1,000 fraudulent visa applications. King and his co-conspirators
submitted over 1,000 fraudulent visa applications.
Were found to have brought in over 200 foreign nationals to work as hotel housekeepers through the use of these illegally obtained visas. Evidence presented at trial showed that King and his co-conspirators had used forged hotels.
So it's kind of hard when this stuff comes to light, if you haven't addressed it already and talked about how you made amends and changed and how this, it's kind of hard to be like this moral deciding figure on YouTube, right? And telling people you're bad because you like, or this idea is bad because of this. Well, it seems like you had a bunch of bad ideas as well.
Letterheads to further their scam. Most of the foreign national workers brought in through the fraudulent visa scheme were eventually contracted out to hotels and resorts, other than those who had supposedly sponsored them for their visa.
They basically had housekeepers. They were importing a shit ton of young housekeepers, paying them shit, contracting for at least minimum wage, probably higher than minimum wage, right? And these people they could leave, but if your options are stay 3 months and leave already paid for the ticket, transportation, visa fees, or pay $10,000, which I'm not even going to make here, and leave right now, really you can't leave.
Finally, it was revealed that when the federal government had become suspicious and stopped issuing visas to Eurohouse, King and the other defendants had continued their fraudulent activity under the guise of a new labor contracting company called Woland.
So literally the government catches on, says we're not issuing any more visas to you, so they start a new company.
That doesn't really sound like rescuing Jewish refugees from Uzbekistan, does it? Sounds more like human trafficking. But we might want to give Bo the benefit of the doubt here. Perhaps he was just a low-level...
That isn't even mentioning his giving away $1 million a day if you vote in Pennsylvania or whatever.
...employee in this operation and took the fall for the worst of it when he really, truly didn't know the full extent of what was actually going on and had no hand in any of it. Maybe he was disconnected from the rest of it and was just helping out with the visa fraud part and genuinely believed that all that he was doing was bending the rules a bit to help people come and work normal jobs in the USA. Maybe he wasn't aware that, once they arrived, they were being used by the company that he worked for as cheap, coerced labor. Well, they actually tried to make this argument during his trial, and it didn't go very well. His lawyer argued that he was just a glorified gopher for the human trafficking operation, meaning little more than an assistant, one who was presumably unaware of its full extent. Yet this was contradicted.
And then why would he go in an interview and say, I was helping get persecuted Jews for a synagogue out of Uzbekistan, and the government didn't like that? Why wouldn't he say, like, dude, I was working for these people and getting people and helping visas and signing people up for what I thought was a job opportunity, but really they were human traffickers. Right? That's not you put a weird spin on it, bro.
By the aforementioned resume. King described his role at Eurohouse as being quite high level and involving lots of important responsibilities. He said that he was currently directing daily operations of a multinational labor firm, responsible for the overseas recruitment of temporary workers, ensuring their arrival to the work locations, arranging housing and transportation, and coordinating with foreign governments, acting as company liaison to US government, responsible for multi-million-dollar budgets. I don't think a glorified gopher would be directing operations or responsible for a multi-million-dollar budget. King's importance to the operation is further confirmed by himself again in a sworn statement, cited in the indictment against him, which he made to the US State Department on February 17, 2006. In it, he stated that at the time, he had been the general manager of Eurohouse for 1 year, and he also confirmed his direct involvement with the victims, stating that, I also manage the Foreign Service employees in day-to-day operations. I ensure our customers are satisfied with the service we provide. Further evidence of King's very direct involvement in the exploitation of at least 100 victims is provided by the transcript of a testimony of one of the victims who testified at his trial. This young woman from Bulgaria described how the scam operated. She was given an H-2B temporary worker visa, which she was made to pay a substantial amount of money for. Under the conditions of the visa, she was supposed to work.
She paid like $1,000 to come here or something.
Work at one specific hotel, the Bay Point Marriott. Yet upon arriving, Eurohouse took her to work at a different hotel, the Sheraton 4 Point. She testified that Justin King had been her first point of contact and that he had personally informed her of this change. The deception here is twofold. First, the victim had chosen to come to the US based on the belief that there was a stable job ready for her at one hotel. But upon arrival, she was immediately contracted out to different hotels based on the needs of Eurohouse. Second, this made her unknowingly complicit in immigration fraud as she was only permitted to work at the Bay Point Marriott. Yet King and his co-conspirators immediately had her working at other locations. The victim ended up being...
They're only allowed to work at the one that's listed on their visa, right? Their visa application. But then they go and bounce them around from company to company to company and probably hiding their names and who they are from the companies.
Shopped around by Justin King personally to a number of different hotels, violating her visa conditions each time that she worked somewhere else. This was a core part of how this operation functioned. Young women from Bulgaria and Romania were enticed to come work in the USA as hotel housekeepers at specific locations on temporary visas. Yet upon arriving, they found that they were instead rented out as cheap labor to whichever hotel offered Eurohouse the best deal, allowing them to win as the low bidders on hotel housekeeping contracts. Her testimony additionally reveals that when the time came where she needed a visa renewal to continue working, Justin King personally arranged.
They told me a visa extension was going to cost $1,154.
Arranged it for her and brought the documents to her to sign. These documents said that she would be working at yet another hotel that she was not actually working at, yet King never mentioned this fact to her, meaning that he made her even more complicit in immigration fraud. He charged her $1,154 for this visa.
And they were paying them $8 an hour. And then 78.7 hours at $8 an hour. And this looks to be your year-to-date total pay. And $629.60. There was an additional fees for $354. What were those additional fees that you're having to pay? Those are the withholding for my extension, which had been done not once, 3 different checks. That was the $1,154 for my extension for the visa. So they took it out overtime, yes. So after working 78.7 hours that month, you made a sum of $200. She worked 80 hours in the month and made $210.
Visa renewal and garnished her wages to pay for it. This is highly irregular, to say the least, as according to the US Department of Labor, the employer is legally obliged to either pay for the workers' H-2B visa fees or at least reimburse them in their first work week. $1,154 also appears to have been a massive overcharge, as the cost for this renewal today is $205. Given
$200. Jesus Christ. Talk about a racket. And people are so desperate. Dude, when I was in Iraq, there used to be this guy that tried to get all the soldiers to marry his daughter and take them back to America. He would like be walking around with her trying to pimp her out.
that she was making $8 an hour at the time, $1,154 would have represented about 144 hours of work for her. So Beau of the fifth column not only participated in both the visa fraud and the labor exploitation side of this human trafficking operation, but he also personally scammed the victims out of what little they had earned from it. And that's not even the only way that he scammed the victims. He also personally split their paychecks in two to avoid having to pay them overtime, issuing them a second paycheck under the name of a shell company. The witness said they were giving
no overtime. You got paid up to your 40 regular straight time. If you had any overtime, you got a fake check from a different company to cash.
Separate checks. We were new in the country, and I didn't know. And they told me that's the way it'd have to be, and I was thinking that was normal. In one pay period, the witness worked 78.7 hours, yet was only paid $210 due to wage garnishing and the theft of her overtime pay. When the witness was asked who gave her these paychecks, she answered that it was Justin King or the secretary for Eurohouse. An important thing about this witness testimony, by the way, is that every time the witness was asked about something, she was also shown a piece of evidence that had been admitted to the court. Things like contracts, paychecks, and receipts. So she is not merely claiming this happened. They had clear evidence demonstrating that it did. The witness also said that she was made to pay rent for the housing provided to her by Eurohouse. This is something that is expanded upon and corroborated in a report on labor exploitation from the U.S. Government Accountability Office.
Again, the GAO uses this as an example of how this shit happens and as signs to look out for. They use this case as it's a bad case.
Which used the Justin King case as an example of cases where H-2B visa holders were the victims of fraud and abuse. This report states that Eurohouse charged up to 16 workers rent to live together in a 2-bedroom house. Additionally, it states that the company coerced workers to sign contracts.
The company paid as little as $48 for 2 weeks worth of work because of excessive paychecks deductions, including fees for not cleaning housing, accommodations, and arriving late for transportation to work sites. So some people were making as little as $48 for 2 weeks worth of pay.
Agreeing to lower pay than originally promised, and that the company paid as little as $48 for 2 weeks of work because of excessive paycheck reductions, including fees
16 workers in a 2-bedroom house
for not cleaning housing accommodations and arriving late for transportation to work sites. Damningly, the report notes that the court referred to the treatment of the victims by King and his co-conspirators as legal slavery. Beau is additionally referred.
So I appreciate the video, but he's kind of a piece of shit. So then he ends up, a lot of people liked him before they found out about all this. I don't know what their views are now, but then he does this video where he's leaving his channel. That's why I couldn't find him. I thought his name had something to do with Fifth Column, but it kept bringing Belle of the Ranch up when I would search it.
There, Internet people, it's Beau again. So today we are going to talk about change and how things progress over time. Evolution. Old ideas and new ideas. You know, when this channel started more than half a decade ago, almost immediately it started to foster a community that had real-world impacts, that really got out there and did good. That video the other day, I'll put it down below, it really drove it home for me, because that was just a fraction of what this community has done over the years. And one of the things that we've always said, that it's been a guiding principle on the channel, is that ideas stand and fall on their own. Not because of some perceived authority of the person saying it, not because of the messenger, but because the idea and the information is valid. That has always kind of been the core here. And luckily, as the community grew, that stayed a part of it. It's why the channel never really succumbed to all the sensationalism, because that was a key element. And as the channel grew and the community grew, the team behind it did too.
What is the recap video?
As many of you have noted,
this says the recap video.
There, Internet people, it's Beau again, and welcome to the Roads with Beau. So today will be the roads to, I guess, 5 or 6 years of doing this. In some ways, it'll be a clip show, and sometimes of clips y'all never saw. You know, we have a whole lot of questions that came in over the last few days, and a lot of them had to do with the second channel and how it was expanding and all of that stuff. But those questions will be in the Roads Not Taken episode on Sunday.
By the way, the name of this channel is now The Roads with Belle, not The Roads with Beau. He's left both channels.
But I also mentioned recently how, you know,
but somebody said Bert's supposed to be getting a job. I don't know.
The extra video over on the other channel and all of this, how it has impacted and kind of slowed me being able to do the charity and the aid work. And we just haven't done as much this year. Nothing has convinced me more that we need to get back to doing that more often than the number of questions that came in from people asking, well, what did y'all do? It's sad. It's sad because it is a core part of this community. That kind of work, doing that kind of stuff, and making that real world impact, it has been central to this community.
I don't know. It's just hard to forgive somebody that just doesn't come out right out and say what they did. And like, I learned from it, I got fucked from it, or something.
For half a decade. And yeah, it has slowed. So what would we like to get back to doing? This. Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. The goal of this is to raise money for a wolf conservation center up in New York, Project Rebound, an organizing action fund. Minors in Alabama, Children's Home, a union teacher. She's the money she needs for these tables and these books and everything else. Hurricane Ian, his Trans Lifeline, and I tried to put together Tent City. Domestic violence shelters have been a favorite charity of mine.
But his name's not even on anymore. It's called The Roads with Belle. It's called Belle of the Ranch. It used to be called Beau of the Fifth Column. Everything's just, I don't know. Everything's just gone now. So there you go. That's the guy. The video's pretty good, though, about Trump being, hidden all the tenets of fascism and why people were worried about it and no one else kind of saw it. But she's the new face of it. Belle of the Ranch on YouTube, at Bella, or Belle Ranch, I guess. And she's taking over. I guess that's it for me, guys. I can hear the storm blowing outside. It's 1:30 here, so. They said one of his investors pulled out. I saw where he said the Burt Lynch Truth Facebook is now live again. I don't know who reopened it. That was actually the woman who passed away was running it for a long time. So I don't know who opened it, but it's back up and posting again. And from that, the very next video, I hear that Burt said he had to get a job. I had to find the clip and play it for you next time we're on. I'm guessing it was last night's show or the show before last. So we'll try to check it out. Either way, I'm out of here for the night, guys. If you want to support the show, you're more than welcome to it. Coldbeer.fund. Thank you all for hanging out with me tonight. I've been kind of in I don't know, a funk I can't shake, depression. But I'm trying to get back. So thank you all for hanging out with me, putting up with me. I'll see everybody on the next one. Have a good night. Love you. See you. Bye.
But I can tell you this about if this douchebag happens to see this particular show, you don't have the forking balls to call out the people on this planet by name and tell them exactly who they are and tell them the rest of the world who they are. You don't have the forking balls. You don't have the balls.
Okay, Scott.
Here we go, I think I started some shit. Listen off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Listen off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet.
And they say that I'm a lunatic. Well, listen, bitch, I came equipped with a quick wit and a sixth sense for the stupid shit. Where my true believers? Y'all need Jesus. Praise the Lord, head to the extreme. All these false fucking prophets who profit off of gossip. Worshipping drums, cocking, begging for a throat deposit. Swinging fucking meat hammers like fool in a thong. He's strapped to the shaft, beating his chest like he's King Kong. Starving for attention, I'ma make your gut burst. I'll be your huckleberry, I can quench that thirst. Baby eating lizard people, alien sex. What's next? Trump in a dress, fucking Flynn on his desk. A retard in a vest, climbing up 5G towers. Cause you told him if he did, he'd get fucking superpowers.
Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit.
Good night, guys.